On this episode of Blending Bourbon, Dixon and I discuss maintaining brand authenticity and having a good time.
Blending Bourbon is the podcast that takes you beyond the barrel and behind the scenes of the whiskey industry with master blenders Dixon Dedman and David Mark Young.
Welcome back to another episode of Blending Bourbon. I am Dixon Dedman of 2XO Whiskey. Myerton McHugh in the pilot seat, and as he was once known in his military career as the Queen of the Latrine, now we are also joined by the owner and master blender of Golden Chief Whiskey, David Mark Young. Good day to you both.
Good day, Dixon, Myerton. How are you guys?
Good. Yeah, we're recording this the day after Labor Day, so feeling refreshed, feeling good. How was your guys' adventures?
It was a great long weekend. It was pretty. No highlights. I mean, it was just fun. It was kind of downtime, which was. Really enjoyed, spent it with some family and friends, and drank a little bit of whiskey. That's
I don't know that. I think we're just in such different places in life. Like, I have 3 young children. There is no downtime, and if there is downtime, you better fill it up with something of your own, or else it's going to get filled up for you. So I had a very I had to go to the gym this morning, and I need to go for a run. I had a very saturated weekend. It was a lot of that, but I mean, we went to multiple football games, my children participated in multiple sporting events. I hosted a golf tournament somehow. And then we kind of blew the doors off the pool for the last day of summer. So, my family was out earlier than I think we've been in a long time last night, and there wasn't a person in our house that wanted to get up for school and things this morning.
Well, when I say it was relaxing, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's always go. We, same thing. We had a pool party Sunday. Lots of people. That party continued on throughout the evening with a neighborhood kind of block celebration thing. And, but I feel like that's just life anymore. It just goes and goes and goes. That's the norm. I don't know that we ever sit still for very long at all, but that's just how it is. That's the norm.
Yeah. I tried to sit still yesterday by the pool, and next thing you know, my kids are like, "Dad, last day, got to go off the diving board. We got to go off the diving board." And I guess I had just enough to drink, or I went into the bag of tricks. I mean, it was, we were having a gainer competition. And so I pulled muscles that I hadn't known were there for a long time, and paid for it, but it was fun.
So you went for a run this morning, you said?
Haven't yet. I went to the gym. I had 3 calls this morning because everybody's like, "Oh, we've been off for 3 days. Let's all connect and talk about what we talked about Thursday." And nothing's changed because nobody did anything over the weekend. But we gotta check all those boxes again.
Got it. When did, at least in my world, I feel like everything, and it's probably my fault, but my days start pretty early. But I feel like they were intentionally starting early so that I could have my time, to work out, run, whatever. And I feel like I've sort of flipped things. Now I feel like I get more work done in the morning when I'm trying to, go for a run or go work out. But it's the opposites. And so I'm wondering if I need to shift my exercise, my running to the afternoon. Not complaining, it's just how it is. But I feel like this morning, same thing. It was about 5:30, 5:45. All of a sudden the emails and text messages and calls started coming in.
I've adopted the silent mode, and like a lot of times I don't even take my phone off the the silent mode until after I've taken my kids to school, because it's like I can't. I'm not. All it's going to do is distract me, and right now I'm just trying to get Elizabeth's getting them fed and making lunches. I'm dealing with bedhead and morning breath, and trying to find a shoe or whatever. And then it's, it's time to go. Then you turn it on and it's like, I get back and it's like, we're pivoting a couple things in California. Need to talk to you about an upcoming trip to Tennessee. How do you feel about Chicago? How, all that stuff. And then that's when like the anxiety, right? Like it just is like, and
right.
It's like, and how I'm going to deal with this is by not dealing with it at all. And I'm going to go to the gym, and then I'll come back from the gym, or I'll go for a run, and I'll come back from that and be like, okay, now I'm ready to deal with this.
Yeah. That's my problem.
Now, when you guys are working out though, that still is probably in the back of your mind somehow, and it's still being worked out, right?
Way,
or no? Or you just like,
way. I mean, as soon as you start thinking about work, you know what you do? You just turn NSYNC up a little bit louder. I guess that's what I do. I mean, if I start thinking about something, I'm like, oh, well, NKOTB isn't loud enough right now. Turn it up.
That's when I put the angry music on. Just leave me alone. Leave me alone. Yeah. Yeah. So, are you running the New York Marathon again this year?
No.
Was that it for your? Are you going to do?
I don't think so. I think that trying to train on the road is just too hard. Trying to knock out 12 miles in Houston before you spend 12 hours slinging whiskey and then getting on a plane. I mean, it's just too hard. And then you get home on Saturday and you're like, hey kids, great to see you. I got to go bang out a 3-hour run or something like that. I mean, it's just the running is therapeutic. The training is hard enough, but when 3 weeks out of every month you're packing a bag and visiting a new city, it's just hard to get that done.
Yeah.
So are you guys still finding time to work out on the road? Just like something small, or 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there?
I have to. I was different. I used to, when I first started doing it, it was like, yeah, let's get up, let's go. Then it's always a dinner. Then somebody always wants to take you here. We need to check out this account. Let's go have drinks here. Or I'd love to show you my home bar, or what, And I've turned into like, and then you're just wiped. I mean, just absolutely wiped. And I've got to the point. It's like, okay, this is great. We're going to set this up. I mean, I know this sounds stupid, but there's usually a point. We'll do like a bottle signing or an event, and they'll say, let's sleep with dinner after. It's like, nope. I'm going back. And like, take me back to the hotel. I will find a nice little restaurant close by. I will eat dinner by myself. I will go back, and call it a night, so that I can get up and exercise in the morning, or else things just. And I say that, and I'm just as guilty. I mean, the last time I was in San Diego, we did this event. Awesome event. Ended up having drinks. Next thing I know, it's 1:00 in the morning. I am in the backyard of an $8 million home that is overlooking the city of San Diego. hitting golf balls out into the abyss. And I finally looked at the guy I was with and I was like, we got to get out of here, man. Like I have to be in front of the sales team at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. And I am swinging a golf club with my right hand, holding a whiskey in my left hand.
2XO bottles everywhere.
Hitting balls at 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning.
Got a face tattoo and missing a tooth.
I try to avoid the late night things, but that doesn't always happen.
You know what I think we ought to do is I mean, I've tried to like really step it up and, eat cleaner. And I think I have a fairly good routine when it comes to exercising, but I think we ought to tighten the screws down a little bit and then, have a segment on, being in the whiskey world, being in the spirits industry and being able to maintain a healthy lifestyle. I think it's possible. It just takes a lot of discipline, right? It takes a lot of good choices. And, when you teeter on that, okay, are we making the best choices? Fine line. That's where it becomes a challenge, right? Because then you find yourself out in Hugh Hefner's backyard hitting golf balls. And but at 6 o'clock in the morning. But I think that would be pretty interesting. It'd be a good challenge too, and maybe we even challenge our followers, our listeners to, kind of do the same thing. We had that conversation about making good choices, the responsibility that comes along with great proof. Maybe we use a platform for some good, again, to kind of talk about the importance of taking care of yourself so that you can continue to enjoy indulging in the finer spirits in life. Just an idea, guys.
I think that's a terrific idea. I mean,
because we've definitely talked about pairings. So why not find the healthier choices for meal prep?
I have found that I have reached a point where, like if I start, I just can't. It's like I don't stop. Not like reckless, but
right.
I've got to the point where, during the week, a glass of wine or two is about, is the extent of what I will allow myself. And I think it's also funny is like, I have this, maybe if we've touched on this, then you just say stop. But I would say that I could give you like the 5 questions that I get most frequently. And one of those is always when you're not drinking 2XO, which used to be when you're not drinking Kentucky Owl, what's your go-to bourbon?
Right.
And I don't know have we done this before.
It's similar because you're like I don't really go to bourbon, I go to wine.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like I don't know when. I remember when it was running the inn and doing all that stuff, and it was like that bourbon at the end of the day was like that. That's when I got. That's when I knew it was like the relaxing element. I was like, I'm looking forward to that. I'm excited about what I'm going to pour. I just picked this up. I want to try this. I don't, at a certain point, like it doesn't relax me like it used to because it's part of kind of what you do all day long. This trip I'll take off on this week. I mean, it's Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and then Monday through the following Friday, I will be doing tastings, signings, distributor meetings. I will be holding a glass of whiskey for 8 days straight, and it's like when you finish that day and you get back, and really that's part of it. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, but like after the event, we want to take you to this whiskey bar, we want to drink, it's like Guys,
Right.
I'm done. I'm looking for a gin and tonic followed by a massive piece of steak with a big glass of red wine. And bourbon's not in that equation at all.
Right. Yeah. So we're going on the road tomorrow. We're heading down to Kentucky, actually. And as it's not every minute's going to be accounted for. There's a little bit of fun, a little bit of work, good mixture of both. But inevitably, it all involves drinking whiskey. There will be whiskey at every stop that we go. But and it's like, all right, should we pack running clothes? Should we pack workout clothes? Because it's a pretty quick trip. But and as much as I'd like to believe that there will be some exercising, in the mornings before the days start, I'm still kind of like, am I fooling myself? Because
12-inch curls, baby. 12-ounce curls.
12-ounce curls. What kind of 12-inch curls are you trying to do?
As soon as I said that, I was like, "Ooh, boy, that could go."
Martin, don't edit that one out.
I thought it was just like I'm going to pound them back until I get them 12-inch pythons like Hulk Hogan.
Oh, that's better than where I was thinking he was going to go with that. That makes a lot more sense.
That's the other podcast. That's the OnlyFans podcast.
That's the.
But yeah, just trying to be realistic. Like, want to have all the fun, want to do all the things, but want to maintain. That's, to me, is the biggest challenge, is consistency. Even there needs to be a little bit of moderation, a little bit of consistency, and but it seems to ebb and flow. It seems to go like, oh, we're gonna not exercise for a couple of days and do all these tastings, and because a lot of times, and it sounds similar to what you're describing, is tastings, events lead to social, follow-ons. It's okay. Yeah, let's go continue this and have a drink. Or
and then when you, because what inevitably when my day is like, okay, you get up and from, say they pick you up at 8:30 and through noon, you're visiting accounts. Like, okay, let's go, and tasting is you're tasting this account, and like go through the progress and the slides and the song and the dance, and I could do it in my sleep. Mm-hmm. And then it's usually like a lunch with, a team of the distributors, and that inevitably is like, yes, we're tasting them on that stuff. And then it's like, let's go. We got 4 more accounts we need to see. And you're tasting, and it's like, we got this either a bottle signing, or we'll do like an event with 4 or 5 different pours, and you're tasting, and and it's like, wow, I bet I've consumed probably 750 mLs of my own whiskey during the course of the day,
right?
And then after, it's like, hey, let's go drink some. Let's go. I want to take you to this place, and it's like, I want to go to this place too, and it's called Room 302 at the hotel you picked me up at this morning.
Right.
And I'm gonna, what I really need is an IV.
Right. Well, that's so it's like, yeah, after a hard day's work, Dixon Deadman, now let's go have some fun. Well, holy cow, and that's. I think it's interesting to talk to people about the perception of, I don't get me wrong. I love my life. I'm very, very grateful to be able to do what I do. I love it. Every aspect of my life involves whiskey. And it's, I don't consider it dangerous or, risky. It's just, you just got to make good choices and know like when enough is enough. And, I've indulge a little too much, or not even indulge, but just kind of taste it too much one day, and then the next day it's like, oh, I just can't do this. So I'll find myself holding a glass of whiskey versus actually drinking it, and just pretending to sip on it.
Yeah, I have to remind myself all the time. It's like, you do these events, and especially in these places where we go a lot. We talked about earlier, about having those groups that always turn out and they get excited, and I know them. Like, they're friends of mine. And everybody shows up with a bag, because when the event's over, they're pulling something out of their bag and they're pumped about sharing it with you. And one, that is an incredible compliment that, like, oh, we're coming for this event, but but one of the things we're really looking forward to is the kind of share, the bottle share, like afterwards. I love it. And I love that not only do people come to these things that they put together, and I stand up there and act like a fool for an hour and a half, but it's like the kind of personal kind of, hangout time afterwards. And I love it. I mean, it's such a compliment. But I've found myself, and I was one not long ago, what was happening is like, it's like, have you finished that one yet? And I was like, no, let me knock that one out. And finally, these things happen to an extent that I was like, there would be I would have a guy, and there was, and I would taste whatever and and talk about it. And before, and I was like, it's not because I don't want to drink the whiskey. It's because I know that there's a whole bunch more coming. And so he would quietly slip me an empty glass and take the one that had, the second half of that pour in it. And he just set it over there. It wasn't like he was trashing it, because the good ones I'd come back to or whatever. But so that I had an empty glass, somebody would say, oh, you're finished with that one, I want you to try this. And I'd taste it. Oh, dude, that is so, love this stuff. And then I'd just get an empty glass again so that I wasn't having to kill. I mean, but it's awesome that people want to, they're like, hey, I brought this bottle to share it with you. Right. And that's cool as hell.
Yeah. I saw a number of bottles get cracked open this weekend. Well, first of all, there's nothing there, but, just kind of a couple, it's hot weather, warm weather. Most people are drinking clear liquors, and but then, come in, put a bottle of Golden Sheaf down the table, and the next thing you know, there's all this unopened stuff, and it's good picks. People are like, they want to crack it out. They've been waiting for an occasion. Like this is the occasion, and so now it's not only are you trying, one or two rare finds, but there's like 6 of them, and at that point, I kind of feel like obligated to taste and talk about each one of them
for sure. This dude tried to get me the other day. It was like an afternoon thing or whatever, and he did the same thing. He was like, after it was over, it's like the third guy was like, I want your thoughts on this. He was like, there's no way you've ever had this before. He was like, but I'd really love to know what you think of it. He's like, it's one of my favorite things, but I know it didn't, whatever. And I tasted it. I kind of looked at him, and he's stone cold. Like he's doing it. He's, and I was like, bullshit. This is batch 8 Kentucky Owl. And he was like, damn it.
Yeah, you tried to get me. You kind of did.
Yeah. I remember when you guys were in person, and then
right.
What was it, Dixon? You had David try
his own ride.
This is familiar. This is very familiar. This is good. I like it.
Well, I really like this. What is it? This is right.
What is this
again? When you're finding yourself in situations of going to all these events, does it get amplified as you're trying to probably sell to a major conglomerate, or like you're trying to build your own brand? Can you explain that process to me of maybe it's getting to be too much and you got to back off a little bit to go back into more independent things? It's, Dixon, you have that kind of like unique perspective of building up Kentucky Gal,
Did you just say eunuch perspective?
Unique.
Unique. Okay. I swear I heard eunuch perspective.
My accent may have come out.
I don't know. It's funny you bring that up because a guy doing I've got to sit down and consolidate my thoughts for an article, an interview for an article that is kind of, I think it's a very interesting perspective. Like, okay, it's kind of like, hey, we're seeing a lot of people who have really made a name for themselves in the industry and, through their kind of growth and development in large corporate entities, and they're kind of moving, they're leaving these things, these big, and what are perceived to be these big promising opportunities and big, massive companies to go, kind of do an independent kind of thing. And I mean, yes, do I have experience with that? Yeah. Do I have a take on that? Yes. But it's kind of funny when to go from what we were talking about. But I have always, good or bad, I'm just me. I can't be anybody else. I'm not. I don't put on persona. I don't. And that's that's one of the things that's kind of. Also part of the road and part of the job and all the stuff you got to kind of figure out for yourself. And for me, it's just like, I don't present myself or my brand any differently to a small independent as I would to Total Wine or Costco or Walmart. I don't, it's not like the guy it's kind of the local corner store. It's the same. It's the same deal. My team gets mad all the time because they put together all these fancy decks with all these slides and all these fancy presentations, and I don't pay any attention to them. I just do me, and I think to kind of tie that to what you were talking about is that. With the growth in this industry and where it's going and the big companies getting bigger, and whatever, and it's just, I think that a lot of times the brand strategy is more about corporate opportunity than it is about brand building and creating a personal relationship with the consumer. I think the bigger the company, which is fine, but their focus is on how fast can we grow, how much profit can we make, and it's like and it's kind of a now thing, not as much about how do we create a brand and a proposition that has that has a personal effect on people that they can, and I think a lot of times what happens is they take the personal aspect out of it, and they kind of want you to be like a robot, and they want you to just this is what we're telling you to make, and this is how we want you to make it, and then when you go out there, this is what we want you to say, and this is we want to brand you, and it's all and it's just and you lose a lot of the ability to kind of be yourself and create and to right. It's just like, we're going to hammer out as much of this stuff as we can, and we want you to go regurgitate these exact bullet points. And I think a lot of people like myself, like David, like a lot of the people that are, they're like, man, I want to be able to express myself the way and create and talk about and not not be kind of put in this box.
Yep.
Scripted, yeah.
Yeah, and that seems to be like the major proponent for wanting to establish a brand is and it gets thrown a lot around in the marketing side of stuff is being authentic. Would you say that? Would you agree with that sentiment of like you feel less authentic by having to follow particular bullet points? Because David, you're on. I guess you could say on in the continuing to establish a foothold and brand recognition, right? So your experience on that is continuing on that. Do you feel continuing your authenticity at this point? Sorry, I'm like losing track of my question here, but I think you're getting where I'm getting at, right?
Yeah. There's a campaign to brand me, my name tied to my brand. And there's strategy behind that. It's not just the brand. It's trying to leverage a skill set and be able to apply that, potentially across multiple instances. And so, it's the baseline is blending bourbon, creating whiskey products, but there's business behind it as well. Trying to establish a brokerage, for lack of better terms. And have multiple hands in the industry, not just creating products, but we're trying to create this broader. There are whiskey communities. There, this whiskey network, if you will, and trying to leverage that to be able to be involved, multifaceted. So yeah, I think it's, part of, that's just what I do. That's what I did in my previous life, my previous career, established kind of a network of various aspects of what I'm doing, trying to overlay that within the whiskey industry and be part of organizing various elements, bringing together different products and different brands and collaborations and events and, networking, creating relationships. And that's part of this trip going down to Kentucky is, being able to so it's, like Dixon says, just being authentic. You get the raw Dixon Deadman, the authentic Dixon Deadman experience, which I think that's what people really, they love your bourbon, they love your whiskey, but there's that personal element to it, right? You're Dixon Deadman, the father, Dixon Deadman, the husband, Dixon Deadman, the bourbon blender. And people, I think, really appreciate that, those pieces that they can relate to. Like, you're a human, you're down to earth and somebody that, you're approachable. I think that's, one of the many things that people enjoy about you and your brand. And similar, just trying to be the authentic me, the real David Mark Young, and, be able to do what I do. And that's where, whiskey is that enabler, right? To be able to relate to people, be able to share with people, be able to talk. At the end of the day, I am a bourbon guy. People ask all the time. That's probably the most common question that I'm asked is, how did you get into this? How did you go from cybersecurity, protecting the world from porn, as Dixon says all the time, into bourbon? And my answer is, I'm just a bourbon lover. I love bourbon. I love all the backstories, the origins, all the things. And, to be able to share that with people, it's just such a cool universe.
What do you guys think is, obviously the corporate side helps pay the bills, but having that relationship directly with the consumer probably weighs a lot heavier than anything else, right? Or am I far off from that?
I mean, if you don't have any relationship with the consumer, then you've got a distributor sitting on a bunch of your boxes that they can't sell to a retailer who can't move them. So, I mean, that obviously that's yeah, and I think for me, what is incredible about the situation that I find myself in now, and I say this every presentation I give, is I pinch myself every day for, the circumstances that I find myself in. And the reason for that is because, there's this dream team that we've got here. And, because they put my name on the bottle, I get a lot more credit for it than I deserve. We have this great group and a great team that, it's not as if we're doing this without a plan. We have a plan. We know what, and we strategize on the plan based on what liquids we have and how I want to put them together. And we have a great plan and a great team that executes that plan. We have a great team that kind of protects me a little bit and keeps me in line. But it's not this, okay, this is the brand we want to create, and we're going to bring in all of these marketing people to design it. And then it's like, okay, now we've created this character that you need to be. Now go play Mr. 2XO. What's incredible is that they kind of said, this is Dixon. This is Dixie. Yes, I kind of created the vision, but got input and talked through a lot of it with a lot of really great people invested in what we're doing, like personally invested. And then it's kind of like, no, we're not going to make you wear Gucci loafers and whatever. You like sneakers, wear your sneakers. We're not putting you you don't do sales calls in a suit. You do sales calls in jeans and a hoodie and sneakers, because that's who you are, and that's kind of what this brand is. And it's and I think getting back to that authenticity part of it. I mean, I'll go on, and I, not to poke fun or whatever, but I'll go Friday morning, and there'll be 60 people from the distributor in there in the general sales meeting, and everybody is in that biz cash look, and, and I used to, back in my previous days, they were like, well, then you have to dress the part. It's either slacks and a sport coat or a suit and no tie. And I was like, I'm here to talk about bourbon. I'm here to talk about whiskey. And I know that, and guess what? 99% of the people drinking the bourbon are wearing the jeans and the hoodies, not the biz cash stuff or whatever. So this is the brand. This is where we're going with this. This is who I am. I'm not doing it anymore. This has got to be, and the team is like, I had this one guy, old school sales guy, been with the company forever. And clearly I didn't even comb my hair for this, but like we get, and I was like, I got out of the shower, I had a, hoodie on, jeans. And he was like, Dixon, did you shave this morning? I was like, no. He's like, did you, he's like, did you even brush your hair? I was like, I think I forgot. I may have not packed a brush or whatever. And he was like, I did brush my teeth. It's like, he's like, is that, I like the hoodie. But should you have worn like a collar shirt under it? And I was like, no. I'm not,
Who's wearing a collar shirt under a hoodie?
well, anyway, we go through all this stuff or maybe and like a quarter zip, maybe something. I don't know. But like the next time I'm with this guy, guess what? He's gone out and he's bought his own quarter zip and he's in jeans and he's like, okay, I get what's going on. And then he's he's like hitting me up for stuff and it's like, yeah, a lot of these people, that's funny. This gentleman I'm talking about is calling me right now.
His ears are ringing.
It's kind of like, I had to before. I had to kind of play that game because that's what was expected of me. And I was still doing me and saying things I probably shouldn't and talking about things, but I felt like I was like, they're dressing me up and I, and
seems fake.
I couldn't do it. It's just like, no, we're not.
Isn't that great though, to be able to learn that, to discover that. And then you find, it's all about differentiation, right? It's because if everybody did everything the same way, which is what a lot of people do, it's not by chance that a lot of brands are similar. A lot of cultures are similar. It's industries are communities are, behaviors. And, but until you really experience, and then figure out your direction, your dynamic. Either you do or you don't, and I think that's what separates your brand from a lot of the other brands. It is unique, and but in its own great way, and so the culture that your team has established, along with the perception of you, there's some individuality, uniqueness in a good way, and that stands out, and people embrace that. That's what I think people want versus the same old bourbon brand with the Cowboys taking shots and.
Which leads to impromptu 2XO sponsored golf tourneys.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what what it's all about, right? Is just having a good time at the end of the day.
Exactly right. And what was great is at the end of the tournament, which wasn't really, it was a tournament, but it wasn't like some, some hot mess thing I put together.
Hey man, got to start somewhere.
Yeah,
that could be the biggest golf tournament in 10 years from now. The 2XO Invitational.
You know what happens? You give the winners a couple bottles of the bourbon. You know what they do? They rip the foil off and open them up, and everybody has a pour, and that's the way it's supposed to be.
Need some 2XO golf balls flying around, some. Yeah.
And some Titleist 2XO balls are coming down the pipeline, guys. Be on the prepared for that, right? Well, I don't know.
There you go.
No, it's all good. I feel like the one thing these guys that came over with me, and they were, they were longtime veterans of a big corporate company, and then came over to the world that I lived in for a while, and now we're doing this together with our team, and it's so interesting because they were in the office, they weren't in the field, and now I'll go do these events, and they'll come with, and they're seeing it, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is fun. Like this is not arguing over case pricing with this is like, oh no, we're drinking whiskey with people and having, and it's like, so we're launching these two products right now, and there's a lot of, it's just that you got to get out and get in front of these distributors so they know what they've got to sell, and so these guys are having to pick up some of the meetings that I can't attend, doing some virtually, but they're going to some, and they're just like, I never ever thought in my wildest dreams I'd be walking into, a GSM in jeans and a quarter zip you know, and being so relaxed, and that's what they are looking for and they want. And I was like, you know, we're not, life's too short to have to worry about what your hair looks like. Just go, you know, do it.
Same,
Unless you've got your hair, David.
Well,
and then,
shoot,
yes,
I got running hair today.
If you've got great hair, then you have to
Who's your
worry
hair
about
sponsored by today?
Golden
I
Sheep.
think-
Paul Mitchell.
I think it's sponsored right now, right?
You were working on a deal with one of the Kardashians for a hair sponsorship, weren't you?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, I'd take it. But
Got to get
no.
that get some insurance policy on it at some point.
No. The hair is definitely one of the pillars of the David Mark Young brand.
Is it? Well, I have a hair appointment right after this podcast, to be honest. Going on the road. I got my holiday.
Every Tuesday at 11.
No,
Rain or shine.
oh, yeah.
Whiskey and whiskers. That's I think that's
Whiskey and whiskers.
that's our barber shop.
Yeah, feeling a little untidied right now, especially after going for a run and then just jumping on a podcast. You know, actually, I did receive a compliment. I'll share. I was a little embarrassed, but I embraced it. It's on one of the platforms. Somebody was asking a question in a group about Golden Sheaf, and if anybody had any thoughts to offer, any reviews or anything. And I was quite flattered. There were a lot of really great compliments about the brand. And then someone chimed in and said, great brand, great quality, and a true reflection of the owner's personal hygiene, attention to detail. And I thought, gosh, they must think I'm this prissy.
Damn, that sounds like something I would say.
You did. I was like, is it who is this really behind here?
Yeah,
behind
it's
this
just
social
like,
media profile. But it was, it was flattering. I'll take, I admit, I'll go get my nails done with my girlfriend, and I shower twice a day and shave, and hell yes, I'll embrace that. I'm proud that somebody actually noticed. So thank you. I tweeze my eyebrows like the rest of the so I have no problem admitting that and embracing that. And it's true. There's an attention to detail with things I take pride in myself, and as well as my whiskey brand. So thank you for that compliment.
And your
I appreciate
Brazilian wax.
Nope.
But probably Peruvian wax. Like, just
I don't. We're talking too much south of the border.
No waxing, yeah. No, but no. Hey, great conversation. I think that probably about does it, right? Is that a wrap, guys? You ready to bring this to a final?
Yep.
Any last thoughts, comments?
No, I mean, I'm out of eunuch perspective, so I got to get to some other stuff. But good talk. Covered a lot.
We did cover a lot. I will share this one last thought. The concept behind this podcast is to give, peel back the layers or reveal under the tent. I think that's one of Dixon's lines. What happens, behind the bottle, behind the brand. I think there was an influencer this last week, and they did a little Labor Day type of message, and it was the Hood sommelier. That's who it was, Jack. And Jack had just he highlighted, being Labor Day, highlighted all of the the teams, the individuals behind the label. So us as consumers, we see a bottle on the shelf, and that's where our focus is. And his message was highlighting all the work and the labor that goes into creating a bottle of bourbon on the shelf. And I felt as if Jack was talking to me, because, being a limited team, limited resources, smaller brand, smaller business, really resonated with me, and I appreciate that. But I look forward to some of the getting back to our basics of the concept of this podcast, and talking about those details, highlighting not just the victories of, what it takes to get a bottle on the shelf, and, creating a good bottle, a good brand, successful brand, but the challenges, man, the pivots, and even thinking back to a couple episodes ago when we had Mike Palladini on, and Mike saying, they went through the acquisition, and immediately the biggest change was compliance. Michael and Danny were able to hand off that compliance piece, which is a pretty big deal. And however, it was still a grind, possibly even more of a grind. But anyway, I just want to highlight that, especially after Labor Day, and the appreciation. I know, Dixon, you talk very highly of your dream team and the folks that are behind the success of 2XO. I think that's pretty awesome. I look forward to delving down into those aspects of what it takes to bring a great brand to the shelf, and be able to highlight that for people to understand a little bit better.
Love it. Love it.
Love, 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 love. Well, thanks for joining, everyone. As always, continue to like, share, comment, send the most difficult of questions for Dixon to answer and respond to. And until next time, everybody, cheers.
Cheers.